Good morning and welcome to Morning Java, brought to you as always by our friends at the Get-Go Cafe and Market, where they are serving, and I do mean serving, their customers out in the parking lot, curbside pickup. You order on the app and they just bring it out to you. Couldn't be much easier.
Yeah, it's the Giant Eagle app. You put in an order. You can do all the same customization that you can do in the store, and then they just call when you pull up and they bring it out to you. It's pretty convenient.
That's an important distinction there. She's right. It's the Giant Eagle app that you have to get, and you'll see there's Get-Go stuff within it. Let's talk a little bit of hockey, because we're actually getting to the point where you can, I don't know. I mean, we're not that far, July 10 is the start of actual training camps. And what I wanted to ask you, first of all, since you spent a lot of time with Ty Hennis, the skills coach, who's the primary figure in the workouts that are going on right now at the UPMC Lemieux Sports Complex up in Cranberry. And he gave you extraordinary detail on what's going on up there. The question that I have for you, though, none of us is there to watch it, so it's really just going to be speculation on your part. How could that possibly be enough to be getting these guys ready for a training camp? Do you know what I mean? The stuff that you described, it sounds like stuff that you would normally be doing like in the first month of the summer.
Yeah, well, I would compare it to the captain's skates that normally happen before a training camp, where the coaches aren't allowed to run it, and it's pretty much just the guys out there skating, doing drills, and they have Hennis with them before training camp. It's pretty much that. I mean, since I've talked to Hennis, they moved to 12 skaters per session. It was 6 before, and it really does just look like those informal skates they have before training camp, where the focus is just kind of getting their legs back under them, and because a lot of them haven't skated since March. So I think in a normal training camp session, guys have skated more on their own before coming to these kind of informal skates, but they're pretty similar to the informal skates any summer.
But when they go into training camps, and this is going to be the biggest differentiator here, once the July 10 camp starts, Mike Sullivan and his staff have their work cut out for them. Yeah, what the stuff that's going on right now is nice. They can get their legs loose. They can work on the weights, start building up muscles that maybe have atrophied a little bit at least. But once the camp starts, he can't afford, meaning Sullivan, to turn that into a conditioning camp, can he? I mean, it's got to be about hockey. It's got to be pure hockey, getting ready for game 1 of a Stanley Cup playoff.
Yeah, I don't think they need, this kind of is that kind of conditioning sort of camp. And if you've looked, so the Penguins, they've been, since we're not allowed to be there, the Penguins have been setting up videos from every session, and you can see the videos, like what they're doing, they've progressed. In the beginning, they're really just kind of skating, doing a lot of edge work. But in the more recent ones, since they've moved to 12 skaters, because Hennis during the year will run the occasional practice and just kind of do a lot of
different stuff.
Skills drills.
Yeah.
The newest videos we've seen really look just like what they've been doing, what they would do in a normal season Hennis prep. Well, no, but I mean, they're doing like it looks like 3-on-3 drills where when they set the goalies up in the same end. And they play the short game.
USA hockey drills. Yeah.
They're doing that.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That stuff resembles actual hockey. The next step, and this is where it's going to get, a little bit more intricate, is going to be physical contact. And I'm not saying that from the coronavirus context, just from the hockey context. They're going to have to start running into each other. They're going to have to start running into Jake Gensel. They're going to have to start testing that shoulder. That shoulder has to be 1,000% before he goes into that series against Montreal, because if you don't think the Canadiens are going to target, they know which shoulder, they know how to hit him. They know he's not a big guy. Montreal's not the biggest team, but they've got enough guys over there who can deliver a body check. They're not going to take it easy on him. How important is that? And have you heard anything from Ty Hennis to that effect? Because I know he's not allowed to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they've have been light, contact in these drills, the past couple ones since they moved to 12 skaters. Hennis didn't talk about that specifically, but the last time Gensel spoke, he said he's not sure how he like comfort wise how he'd feel in a game yet. So that's still something where they'd have to figure that out in training camp with more contact. I don't know, Gensel, but we've seen him taking a lot of shots, which is a big part of getting that shoulder ready. But I mean, they are doing like Hennis said, they're doing drills that would prepare them for like this unique situation coming back where guys haven't played in a while. Like they kind of expect it to be sloppy hockey the first few games, so they're working on a lot of like bouncing puck drills and like some, like when he's passing it to them when they're working out shots, he'll pass it like into their feet on purpose. He said so they can prepare for kind of like sloppy hockey the first couple games. So that's probably what it's going to look like.
So one way to make sure that, well, at least try to make sure that your players are as prepared as possible for game one after 4 months of nothing is to read them the riot act, I guess. There are times in training camp settings, Taylor, you've seen it, where Sullivan will just blow the whistle and blow his top. He'll just lose it on guys. And I don't even know that it's 100% sincere. I think in a lot of cases, he's just trying to send the message that the effort that he's witnessing with his own eyes is unacceptable. I wonder if he won't have to do that several times. I'm serious. You used the word unique in the last segment. It is accurate in the truest possible meaning of that term. It's the French for one. There has never been a situation like this. And I think the coaches and the leaders of this team need to be at some other level in making sure that this team's prepared for game one.
Yeah, I think we're seeing the team really, take it seriously now in these early stages because they have almost the entire team is there already. We've seen everyone skate except for Riikola, who's back in Finland, Zucker, who I believe just got to Pittsburgh, Hornquist, and Schultz. So like everyone is there, and that's not the case in every other city, like in every other NHL city. Like the Canadians have very few guys back, so I don't think, like Carey Price isn't back in Montreal yet.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. He's still out in BC.
He's in Washington skating, like Washington State.
Washington State, okay.
Yeah, so the Canadians have very few guys back. Penguins have pretty much the whole team back. I think this is where they kind of get their feet under them, and like the effort's already there. I don't know. I like the effort in training camp. I think it's going to be more than a typical training camp. You know what I'm saying?
It has to be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to picture too, because there's a line between wanting to get the most out of them and pushing them, and then right off the bat ticking them off. And that's where it's not just Sullivan. It comes down to Crosby, Letang, Dumoulin, Hornquist, Malkin, the guys who are the leaders on this team, the core guys, so to speak, the guys who've won multiple championships. They have to set a tone, I think, that's not like a normal training camp. They have to set a tone that this is something extraordinary, that they don't think of this the way you thought of last September. That this has to be on some other level. Every session, every drill, I really believe that. And I think it's going to be, especially against a team like Montreal, like you said, not just the fact that they don't have any guys, they have no hope. That's not a team that's going to be competing for anything in this tournament, other than maybe, one glorious upset. That you have a chance to basically pound the will out of that team right off the bat. You know what I mean? Games 1 and 2, just knock the life out of them.
Yeah, and there's an exhibition game before we get to the, like, all teams can play one exhibition game. So I think that's another good area where they can, I guess, get back into game shape
and not get hurt. Not get hurt.
Yeah. So I like, and they're going to be playing against another playoff team. So, that'll be a good way to get there. But you talk about leadership. They've kind of, like, those guys have already been leading these informal skates. Back to Hennis, what he told me, because they've when they were in groups of 6, They do have like one coach, like Hennis would work with one group, Buckley would work with another group, but then like it's like UPM Salem U staff with the other groups. But each group would have like one leader. So it's like Crosby would be the leader of the Hennis group, and then at the end of every every night after they stated all the leaders would meet with Hennis and talk about like what they need to do to, I guess, get these guys back at like what their specific groups needs to get back into game shape. Like Crosby would say like, oh, I think we need to be skating more. So I mean, like those guys have already been taking charge in these informal skates. So yeah, I don't think, and I think that'll carry over to training camp too.
Artemi Panarin from the Rangers is coming off a tremendous, maybe underappreciated regular season, and it's hard to be underappreciated when you're playing in New York. But what he did is almost, between him and Mika Zibanejad, almost single-handedly carry the Rangers into the position that they're in. They shouldn't have been anywhere near as competitive as they were. And then Panarin puts out a thing that, for me anyway, felt like it came out of nowhere onto Twitter about how he wasn't certain if the players should report to these training camps or participate in these playoffs based on A, escrow, and B, safety. First of all, I know you're the expert on this stuff here. I don't even understand escrow. What is that?
So the players and owners every season split all hockey-related revenue 50-50.
Okay.
So to simplify it, basically, if every team spent to the midpoint of the salary cap and floor, it pretty much would be 50-50, and it would be even. But since teams typically spend to the cap, the owners are spending more and not getting as much revenue as like the players are getting. So basically, a percentage of players' contracts are taken out through the year and put into a separate, like an escrow fund, and whatever the owners need to make up for the difference. So to have
they draw from it.
They draw from the escrow fund.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And then the players get the rest back. But so that's not just about this season. That's
that's going into the future.
Because the NBA has escrow, but it's a flat rate taken throughout the year. But where the NHL does, they do it quarterly, and the escrow rate varies based on what they think is going to be.
And right now we're in bizarre times. So
what a lot of NHL players want is a flat escrow rate throughout the year, so they can expect what their check is going to say, because right now
they can budget for it. Yeah, I can see that. And if you think about it from the player's standpoint, and maybe this is part of what Panarin is suggesting, is that, look, we did everything in good faith here. We're showing up to play. Mm-hmm. And for anybody who doesn't know this, players don't get paid salaries for playoffs in the NHL. You get paid for participation per round, and it's the same for everybody. Sidney Crosby got the same check as Carter Rowney did in 2017. There's no separation. So that's a different world. But the players could have held out. They could have made noise about it the way Panarin apparently is in isolation. And that's the other thing to ask here, is that unless I'm missing something, did anybody really join in with Panarin on this?
I mean, with Panarin specifically, no, but players are always talking about escrow. It's not just an issue this year. A lot of players want a flat escrow rate, because what Panarin was saying was pretty much all the risk right now is on the players, because they're the ones that have to.
They're assuming all the risk.
Because the agreement also leaves it up to where if the owners end up making more than 50-50, then they have to give some of that back to the players. But I don't think that's ever happened where the players end up owing, the owners end up owning the players' money. The players always owe the owners' money. And to bring it to this year, where a lot of money is being lost, they're going to owe a lot of money in escrow. Their last paycheck they didn't take because they gave it to the owners but they put it in the escrow fund because they're going to end up owing a lot of money. They're probably going to end up owing money still after the playoffs. Probably not as much as if there were no playoffs, but so that's why he specifically is bringing it up now. But other players throughout the year, especially when we were leading up to where the PA or owners could end the CBA early, a lot of players were talking about how the escrow is going to be a big part of CBA talks.
Whether or not they exit early and everything. Yeah, the other thing he brought up was health and health concerns, but a lot of that's really, I mean, that's been addressed 100 times over. And based on what we just saw happen in Major League Baseball and infinitely messier labor situation, anytime the players were talking about safety and player safety, it was really, it was almost like it needed subtitles, because what they were really talking about was something related to money. And that kind of felt like the same context that Panarin used. Is there any threat whatsoever to the players participating?
I mean, yeah, the general injury, they haven't been playing in a while.
No. I meant in an organized way, like where they would just say, "Forget it, we're out."
Oh, I don't think. No, now team players, individual players can sit out. I don't think we're gonna see a bunch of guys pulling out. But I mean, if they're guys, Domi, who has diabetes, they're handling that on a case-by-case basis, because if a guy has a condition like that could make it more dangerous to come back.
Yeah.
It's going to kind of be left up to him. And there are questions like that with a couple guys around the league. I mean, Kapakako, he has diabetes, celiac. He said he's going to play. And I don't know. Domi, I don't think we have an answer on him yet, but there are a couple questions like that. There are a couple questions with coaches, because I know everyone likes to say, like, oh, players are top physical condition 20s. Coaches are, for the most part, not that.
No, they are not that.
Rod Brindamore, but not age-wise. But I mean,
yeah,
he's probably in the same shape. But I mean, coaches could be in danger too. So I mean, we could see them sitting up. There's questions.
Yeah.
For a couple guys.
Well, in one form or other, at some point later this month, we'll have actual hockey. Won't that be fun?